I never liked office Christmas parties. There's something painfully artificial about glittery decorations taped onto corporate walls and coworkers pretending to like each other over lukewarm wine and forced small talk. But this year felt different. Maybe it was the snowstorm raging outside, trapping us in the 21st floor of the glass tower that housed Foster and Hart Advertising. Maybe it was the way the fairy lights made everything look softer, dreamier, more dangerous. Or maybe it was her, Evelyn Hart, our very own Ice Queen, marketing director, untouchable, until tonight. I was already 2 glasses into a surprisingly strong mulled wine when I saw her, standing near the windows, arms crossed, a glass of something clear and undoubtedly expensive in one hand. She was dressed in black, of course. A tailored suit that hugged her body like sin, dark lipstick that made her mouth look criminal, and those sharp eyes that made everyone in the office shut up mid-sentence if she so much as glanced their way. No one talked to Evelyn unless they had to. She spoke in short, precise sentences, as if each word had been carefully measured before leaving her lips. She never laughed, never smiled, but she made the company millions, and that was enough. I'd spent most of the year watching her from a distance, curious, intrigued, maybe a little obsessed. Not in a creepy way. Okay, a little in a creepy way. But can you blame me? I'm a sunshine soul in human form. I smile at strangers. I bring baked goods to meetings. I cry at commercials. And Evelyn Hart, she's ice. But tonight, thanks to a poorly thought-out suggestion by someone in HR trying to loosen the team up, we were all playing truth or dare. Like children. Only drunk. And surrounded by twinkling lights and bad decisions. The bottle spun. The dares grew bolder. The laughter louder. Then someone, I think it was Tyler from accounting, who's secretly in love with me and sucks at hiding it, grinned and slurred. Madison. Truth or dare? I glanced at Evelyn. She hadn't moved from her corner. Wasn't watching. Or maybe she was. Hard to tell with her. I smirked. Dare. Tyler raised his eyebrows dramatically. I dare you to kiss someone under the mistletoe. The room hooped and cheered. Someone actually clapped. I rolled my eyes. That's it? Weak. He leaned forward, voice dripping with smugness.
Fine.
Then kiss Evelyn. Silence. A literal vacuum of noise. Someone gasped. Someone else dropped a plastic cup. I froze. Are you serious? I laughed, nervously. Tyler leaned back, satisfied. You said dare. My heart was hammering. I turned, half expecting Evelyn to have disappeared, vanished like a dream.
But no.
She was still there, still watching. Only now her eyes were on me, directly, unblinking. I don't know what possessed me. Maybe the wine. Maybe the way my pulse screamed in my ears. Maybe the fantasy of what it would be like to touch her, even for a second. Or maybe I just wanted to see if anything could melt her. Fine, I said, my voice steadier than I felt. I walked across the room. It felt like crossing a battlefield. Every eye on me, every step echoing in my ears. The mistletoe dangled above the glass doors near her, absurdly festive. I stopped in front of her.
Hi, I said.
Her gaze flicked down to my lips, then back up. You're really going to do this? She asked, voice cool as ever. A dare's a dare, I replied. She said nothing, just stared. I could feel the tension, thick as snow outside. Then she stepped forward, a breath closer. All right then, she said, and kissed me. Not a polite, office-appropriate peck.
No.
Evelyn Hart kissed like she commanded rooms and destroyed men's careers. She kissed like she didn't know how to do anything halfway. Her hand slid to the back of my neck, firm. Her mouth opened against mine, and I swear the world dissolved. Someone cheered. Someone else screamed. I couldn't hear them. I couldn't feel anything except her. Her lips, her scent, her dominance, the raw power in the way she took what she wanted without apology. When she pulled away, I was breathless.
Dizzy.
Devastated. Happy Christmas, Madison, she said quietly. Then she turned and walked away. I didn't move. Not for a full minute. My coworkers returned to their games. The music resumed. The world kept spinning. But I was frozen. Not from cold. From want. And that was before I woke up the next morning in her bed. The first thing I noticed was the silence. No city noise, no traffic, no buzzing phone on the nightstand. Just the low hum of heating and the muffled sound of wind pressing against the windows. The second thing I noticed was the softness of the sheets. Too soft to be mine. And the third was that I wasn't alone. I didn't bolt upright. I think part of me already knew. My brain caught up slowly, as if afraid to confirm what my body already felt. Warmth.
Skin.
A second pillow cradling a head that wasn't mine. I turned my face slightly, heart pounding in cautious beats. Evelyn Hart was lying next to me, still asleep. Or maybe pretending. Her back was to me, hair cascading over the dark silk pillowcase, the curve of her shoulder bare above the rumpled covers. She looked human. Not the ice queen, not the sharp-tongued executive. Just a woman. Breathing. Vulnerable.
Real.
I blinked, trying to remember everything.
The kiss.
The electricity. Her walking away like it was nothing. And then nothing. The party, the snowstorm, the drinks. Did I follow her? Did she invite me? Did we? I glanced down.
Still dressed.
My blouse was unbuttoned, but still on. Pants check.
Her side of the bed was also clothed. Relief, confusion, disappointment. A chaotic cocktail. As if on cue, she stirred, rolled onto her back. Eyes opened, clear and alert. Of course, she woke up perfectly composed. "You're awake," she said. Her voice was lower in the morning, rougher. It did things to me I wasn't ready to examine. I managed. Did we? "No," she said, interrupting, sitting up in one fluid, elegant motion. "You passed out. I let you sleep. It was safer than sending you home in the storm." I blinked. I passed out. She glanced at me. "You had 3 glasses of wine, half a spike cider, and tried to challenge then turned to a dance battle. Yes, you passed out." My face burned. Oh, God. It was entertaining. That almost sounded like a compliment. Almost. I looked around. The room was minimalist. Dark wood, soft lighting, floor-to-ceiling windows now blurred with snow. Where are we? My apartment. Midtown. Top floor. Of course. She probably owned the building. So, I just climbed into your bed. "You got sick in my guest room," she replied, getting out of bed. I buried my face in my hands. "I'm so sorry." "Don't be," she said, disappearing into what I assumed was the bathroom. "You said thank you 6 times, then called me majestically intimidating and asked if I sleep in a coffin lined with crushed velvet." I groaned. I was joking. She reappeared, holding a robe out to me. Her eyes flicked down. "I know." I took the robe and slid it on, grateful for the barrier. She wore a satin robe herself, dark blue, tied neatly at the waist. She looked like she belonged on the cover of a magazine titled Power and Other Dangerous Things. "You're being very nice," I said. "Don't get used to it," she replied, though her tone was lighter. "The storm's still bad. You'll have to stay until the roads are cleared." "Right." My stomach twisted. Trapped. With her. "You can stay in the guest room. I'll have it cleaned." "Okay." Silence settled again. Heavy. Awkward. Electric. I couldn't look away from her. From the curve of her mouth. The shadows under her eyes. She noticed. "Stop looking at me like that." "Like what?" "Like you want to ask me something, but you're scared of the answer." I hesitated. "Why did you kiss me back?" She paused. Her expression didn't change, but I felt something shift. "Why did you kiss me at all?" "Because I wanted to." "There's your answer then." "That's not an answer." She crossed the room slowly, deliberately, until she was standing right in front of me. "You think because I don't smile in the break room that I don't feel things. I think you hide them." Her gaze searched mine. I didn't flinch. "Maybe I do," she said softly. "But that night, I didn't want to." I felt heat rise in my chest, in my throat. She reached up and brushed a strand of hair behind my ear. Don't overthink it, Madison. I can't help it. Then don't think. Just be. Her hand lingered for a second too long. My heart stuttered. And then she turned and walked away again. I stood alone in her bedroom, heart a mess, thoughts tangled, and something very dangerous blooming inside me. Because for a split second, I thought I saw it behind the frost and armor, a glimpse of someone I could fall in love with. I didn't expect her to cook. Evelyn Hart, the woman known for skipping lunch meetings and surviving on espresso and ambition, was standing barefoot in her sleek, black kitchen scrambling eggs like it was something she did every Sunday. She wore the same dark blue robe from earlier, only now it hung a little looser at her collarbone, revealing more skin than I was prepared to handle at 8 in the morning. I stood in the doorway, awkward in her borrowed robe, wondering how the hell I'd ended up here, not just physically, but emotionally. The kiss, the bed, the look in her eyes. Everything felt like a glitch in the universe. "You hungry?" she asked without looking at me. "Starving," I admitted, but also very confused. She slid eggs onto a plate, then turned. "About what?" "You," I said. "This." Her expression remained unreadable. "It's breakfast. It's more than that." She sighed, handed me the plate, and gestured toward a stool at the marble island. "Don't make this complicated before caffeine." I took the plate. Saturday. Watched her pour 2 coffees. She handed me one. "Black?" she asked. I nodded. "Thanks." "You're welcome." Silence fell as we ate. It wasn't uncomfortable exactly, just thick. Charged. Every movement, every glance held weight. Finally, I couldn't take it anymore. "You kiss me back," I said, voice quieter now. "You pulled me in. You didn't stop. And now you're making me eggs like this is normal." She sipped her coffee. "I don't do normal, Madison." "Okay, then what do you do?" She met my eyes. "I don't usually bring people here. I don't let them stay the night. I don't take dares seriously, or make breakfast, or explain myself to anyone." Her voice softened, but her gaze stayed sharp. "But I did all of that with you. Make of that what you will." "That's not fair," I said. "You're the one in control here. You have all the answers. You're just what? Trying to understand what this is. Or what it could be." "Why?" "Because I felt something when you kissed me. And I think you did too." She stared at me for a long time. The wind howled against the windows. Snow was still falling. We were still alone. Trapped. Or maybe protected. She stood. Walked to the window. Her arms crossed over her chest like armor. "You think you know me," she said. "But you don't." "Then let me," I said, rising to my feet. "Let me know you." She turned slowly, her expression unreadable, but no longer cold. "Why? Why would someone like you want to unravel someone like me?" I walked toward her. "Because I see what you try to hide. Because when you kissed me, I didn't feel cold. I felt alive. Wanted." She inhaled sharply. "You don't know what you're getting into. Try me." She reached up and touched my face, her fingers featherlight. "You're dangerous, Madison." "No," I whispered. "You are." Her hand lingered. She looked at me like I was a puzzle she didn't mean to care about. "I don't do relationships." "Neither do I lied. "But maybe we're not talking about that yet." Her lips parted like she wanted to say something else, but she didn't. She turned away. "The roads are still closed," she said flatly. "You'll have to stay another night." I should have felt nervous. Or inconvenienced. But instead, my heart leapt. Another night meant more time. More chances. She poured herself another coffee. "There's a spare toothbrush in the guest bathroom. Clothes in the closet. I assume you'll survive." Oh, absolutely. Trapped in a luxury apartment with a mysterious, emotionally unavailable ice queen? It's a dream come true. Her lips twitched. Not quite a smile, but close. "Careful," she said. "Keep talking like that, and I might think you like me." "I do," I said. Bold. Honest. She froze. just for a second, then recovered. Don't. Why not? Because I don't know what to do with that. Then learn. That got her. She looked at me like I'd hit something raw. Then she disappeared into her office and closed the door. I stood alone in her kitchen, adrenaline buzzing through my veins. I should have backed off, but I couldn't. Not when I saw that flicker in her eyes, the one that said she wasn't as untouched as she pretended to be. I wandered the apartment for a while. It was stunning. High ceilings, clean lines, expensive art, but cold, impersonal, like a hotel suite no one stayed in. No photos, no personal clutter, just curated perfection. She lived here, but she didn't live here. When I passed the door to her office, I heard the faint sound of music. Classical. Of course. I almost knocked. Almost. Instead, I went to the guest room. She hadn't been lying. There was a fresh toothbrush, folded clothes that somehow fit me perfectly, and warm, fluffy blankets that smelled like her. I took a shower. Try not to think about how many people had ever done the same thing here. Probably none. Probably just me. The thought made my chest ache in ways I wasn't ready for. That night, she made dinner. No takeout. No help. Just Evelyn, moving through the kitchen like she owned every element. I offered to assist, she declined. We ate in silence again, but it wasn't sharp. It was cautious. Charged. She poured us wine. "You're not going to challenge another in turn, are you?" she asked. I smiled. "Depends on the wine." Good answer. She sipped. "I've been trying not to want you," she said suddenly. The air changed. My heart stuttered. "You've been failing," I replied. "Yes." One word. A surrender. I set my glass down. "So, stop trying." She stood, walked around the table, stopped in front of me. Her eyes were fierce now. Hungry. "I don't do soft," she warned. "I don't need soft," I whispered. "I need real." She pulled me to my feet, her hands on my waist, her lips a breath away. "You stay," she said. "You burn. Then burn me." She kissed me again, this time slower, more deliberate, like she was trying to memorize something. Her fingers threaded through my hair. Mine clutched the fabric of her robe. She tasted like wine and winter and longing buried too deep for air. When she pulled back, we were both breathless. "Don't fall for me," she said. "Too late," I whispered. She closed her eyes, just for a second, then leaned her forehead against mine. God help us both. She didn't let me go that night. Not after the kiss. Not after the warning. Not after the way my fingers curled into the fabric of her robe, like I was holding onto the edge of a dream I didn't want to wake from. Evelyn Hart, untouchable, unreadable Evelyn, stood with her arms around my waist like it wasn't a mistake. Like she didn't regret anything yet. Her breath was warm against my neck. I could feel the tension in her shoulders, the way she was fighting herself. And still, she didn't pull away. "This isn't supposed to happen," she whispered. "But it is," I replied. "And we both know it." I felt her fingers press into my back slightly, the only sign that my words had hit somewhere she hadn't armored. She pulled back just enough to look at me, her eyes darker now, the storm in them louder than the one still swirling beyond the windows. "I don't do feelings. You don't have to do anything," I said softly. "Just be here, with me." That was when something in her broke, or maybe it cracked. Enough for her to lower her guard. Enough for her to let her lips find mine again. This time slower, deeper, like she'd surrendered to gravity and didn't care where she landed. We moved through the apartment as if drawn by something ancient and unspoken. Her hand in mine, my heart a chaotic drumbeat. She didn't ask if I wanted to follow her. She didn't have to. We crossed the threshold of her bedroom and everything changed. Evelyn's robe slipped from her shoulders in one fluid movement. She was all lines and shadows and quiet strength, beautiful in a way that hurt. Her eyes didn't leave mine as I stepped closer. She reached for me, her hands sliding beneath the hem of the borrowed shirt I wore, fingertips grazing my skin like she was memorizing it. "You feel like summer," she murmured. "You feel like winter," I replied. but not the cold kind. The kind that wraps around you and hushes the noise. She closed her eyes for a second, as if those words had landed deeper than I intended. Then she kissed me again, and this time there was no holding back. Her mouth was fire. Her touch was command. She undressed me like it was an art form, every movement deliberate, reverent. I let her. I wanted her. Not just her body, but all of her. The broken pieces, the hidden stories, the weight she carried in silence. We didn't rush. We unfolded. Slowly. Desperately. Her mouth mapped my skin like a prayer she didn't know she still believed in. And when she whispered my name like it meant something, I felt it in every part of me. I didn't know how long we stayed like that, tangled, breathless, lost. The storm outside blurred the world into white silence. In her bed, time didn't exist. There was only her, and the way she held me after, like she couldn't decide whether to keep me close or push me away. We lay facing each other, the lights off, just the faint blue glow from the snow-covered windows casting shadows across her face. I traced the outline of her collarbone with my fingers. She didn't stop me. "Was that okay?" I asked, unsure why I felt shy now. Her lips quirked slightly. "You're asking for a review?" "I'm asking if you regret it." She went quiet. My heart dipped. Then, no, one word. But it carried weight. Truth. "Good," I whispered, "because I don't either." She reached out and tucked a strand of hair behind my ear. "Your trouble," she murmured. "The best kind," I said. She didn't laugh, but something softened in her face, like she wanted to. "Why me?" she asked after a long pause. "You could have kissed anyone at that party, but I didn't want anyone else. You don't know me? Then let me." She turned on her back, staring at the ceiling. "That's the thing, Madison. I don't know if I can let you. I've spent so long building walls, I don't know what I am without them." "Then don't take them down all at once. Just crack a window. Let me in a little." "You make it sound easy." "It's not, but it's worth it." She didn't respond, but she took my hand under the blanket and held it, tightly, as if afraid to let go. That night, she didn't ask me to go back to the guest room. I stayed, in her bed, wrapped around her. The silence between us wasn't empty anymore. It was full of things we hadn't said yet, and maybe things we were afraid to say. The next morning, I woke before her. The snow had stopped. Everything outside was quiet and glittering. I watched her sleep for a while. Her face relaxed, softer than I'd ever seen it. No mask, no armor, just Evelyn. And I realized something terrifying. I was falling for her. Not the fantasy, not the untouchable ice queen, but this complicated, guarded, passionate woman who didn't know how to let someone stay, but was trying anyway. I slipped out of bed and padded into the kitchen, hoping to surprise her with breakfast. I barely knew where anything was, but I managed toast, eggs, and coffee. When she walked in, hair messy, robe tied loosely, sleep still clinging to her eyes, she paused. "You made breakfast?" I figured it was my turn. She looked at the table, then at me. "You're full of surprises." "You have no idea." She sat, ate, drank. We didn't talk much, but every glance felt heavier now. More knowing, more us. Afterward, she stood by the window, looking at the sky. "Roads will probably open by afternoon," she said. I swallowed. "Right. You can head home then." A pause. "If you want. Do you want me to?" She didn't answer right away. "I don't know," she admitted. "I'm not used to wanting things I can't control." I walked up behind her. "Then don't try to control it. Just feel it." "That's what scares me." "Me too," I whispered. She turned, and for the first time, she looked uncertain, like a part of her wanted to ask me to stay, but didn't know how. "We still have a few hours," I said. "Use them." "For what?" "To be brave." She reached out, fingers brushing mine. And I knew. She wasn't ready to say the words, but she wanted me there. For now. And that was enough. By the time noon rolled around, the roads were finally clearing. City crews worked overtime to carve paths through the snowbanks, while plows scraped the asphalt below into something vaguely drivable again. The magic of the storm, that quiet, suspended reality we'd been living in, was beginning to melt into normal life. I stood near the window, arms wrapped around myself, staring at the skyline I'd almost forgotten. In 3 days, everything had shifted. I had kissed Evelyn hard on a dare. I had woken up in her bed. I had seen her vulnerable. I had tasted her sighs, felt her hands trembling against mine. And now, it felt like we were at the edge of something that neither of us had a name for. Behind me, I heard the soft clinking of cups. She was cleaning, always moving, always hiding in productivity. "I can call you a car," she said without turning around. "Or, if you prefer, I can have my driver take you." Her voice was calm, too calm, like nothing had happened. Like I hadn't just slept in her arms and watched her walls crack open in the middle of the night. I turned. "Is that what you want?" She looked up at me, eyes unreadable. "What I want doesn't matter." "It matters to me." A long silence stretched between us. "You were never supposed to stay," she said finally. "It was just a kiss. A game." "I don't know how it turned into," she trailed off. "Into what?" I asked, stepping closer. "Because I know what it feels like to me." She exhaled a quiet thing. "It feels like risk. It feels like possibility," I countered. "It feels like something rare." Evelyn sat on the edge of the couch, crossing her legs. The late afternoon light made her look less like a goddess and more like a woman with too many thoughts and nowhere to place them. "You don't understand how I work, Madison. I compartmentalize. I control. I keep everything in check, because when I don't, things fall apart. I fall apart. Maybe falling apart is the first step to being real, or the first step to losing everything I've built. I'm not here to destroy you, Evelyn." "Then what are you here for?" I knelt in front of her, hands on her knees, eyes searching hers. "To see you. The real you. The one who made me breakfast. The one who held me through the night like she didn't want to let go." Her jaw tightened. I felt her hands tremble slightly beneath mine. "And when the world starts spinning again?" she asked. "What then?" "Then we decide together. But not out of fear." She closed her eyes. Her breath caught just once. And then, "I hate how easy it feels to be with you." "That's not a bad thing." "It is for me." I stood, letting the silence settle for a moment. Then I went to gather my things. She didn't stop me, but she didn't help either. I could feel her watching as I moved through the space that had started to feel dangerously familiar. Every step I took felt heavier, like I was walking away from something that still had more to give. At the door, I hesitated, my hand on the handle. "This doesn't have to end here," I said without turning around. "We could, I don't know, spend a little more time together. There's still a week until New Year's." Still silence. Still no movement. "We don't have to call it anything." I continued, softer now. "Not a relationship. Not a promise. Just more time. You and me. To see what this is when the snow isn't hiding us from the rest of the world." I heard her rise. Slowly. Her footsteps were soft across the hardwood. Then I felt her behind me, her presence like gravity. She didn't touch me. "Not yet." "You want to stay here?" she asked. "Or?" "Anywhere," I said. "I just want to be with you." A pause. A long, terrifying pause. Then, "I have a cabin in upstate. It's quiet, isolated. No emails. No work." I turned slowly to face her. And I was going to go there for the new year. Alone. "Were." She didn't smile, but her voice softened. "You should come with me." My heart surged. "Are you sure?" "No," she admitted. "But I want to be." "Then that's enough." She exhaled like she'd been holding her breath for days. "It's 3 hours away. We'd leave tomorrow morning. If you're serious." I stepped into her space, letting my fingers slide against hers. I've never been more serious. Her fingers closed around mine. "One condition." "Name it." "We don't talk about work." "Not once." "Done." And you don't bring your phone to the dinner table. Deal. And you let me choose the wine. I grinned. Control issues much? She arched a brow. Do you want the good wine or not? I want you, I said. And I'll take that however it comes. She kissed me then, slow and quiet. The kind of kiss that didn't ask for anything, only offered. When we broke apart, her forehead rested against mine. You make it hard to hide, she whispered. Good, I said. I'm not here to let you disappear. That night, we stayed in. No champagne, no Christmas lights. Just two women learning how to be near each other without breaking the spell. We played cards on the floor. She beat me repeatedly. I accused her of cheating. She raised an eyebrow and said, I don't cheat. I dominate. I almost choked on my wine. At one point, I caught her watching me with something in her eyes I hadn't seen before. Not lust, not curiosity, something tender, fragile, hopeful. And when I asked her what she was thinking, she only said that I might not be as broken as I thought. I didn't know how to respond to that, so I kissed her instead. Long, gentle, the kind of kiss that said, you don't have to be fixed to be loved. She didn't pull away, and I knew then we were going to the cabin. And maybe, just maybe, we weren't done surprising each other yet. The road to the cabin felt like we were driving out of reality. Snow still covered the shoulders of the highway, clean and undisturbed. Evelyn's car, black, sleek, definitely expensive, glided through the landscape like it belonged there. She didn't speak much. One hand on the wheel, the other resting between us, barely brushing against my leg. The silence wasn't cold. It was heavy with the weight of everything we hadn't dared say in the city. Here, between the pines and the sky, things were shifting again. And I could feel it in the way her shoulders weren't as tight, in the way she occasionally glanced at me like she still couldn't quite believe I was there. The cabin sat on a slope surrounded by evergreens, looking like something out of a fairy tale. Stone and wood, floor-to-ceiling windows, smoke curling from the chimney, like the place had been waiting for her return. She didn't need a key. The door recognized her thumbprint. Of course it did. Inside, it was minimalist but warm. All exposed beams, soft throws, and a fireplace that flickered to life with a switch. I stood in the entryway, letting it all sink in. This is private, she said. I bought it 5 years ago. I come here when I need to breathe. It's beautiful, I said and meant it. She nodded toward the hallway. There's a guest room. I tilted my head. Planning to use it this time? Her mouth twitched. No. She walked past me, brushing her fingers against mine like a silent answer. We didn't unpack right away. We made tea, sat by the fire, let the silence stretch between us again, this time more comfortably. Why me? I asked eventually, echoing the question she'd asked in her apartment. Her eyes met mine over the rim of her mug. You smile like you've never been hurt. That's not true, I said. I just refuse to carry it like a weapon. She looked away. I don't know how to do that. Then let me show you. We spent the first night in the same bed, but we didn't rush. It wasn't about sex, not this time. It was about warmth. Breathing in sync. Her fingers tracing the curve of my arm like she was learning a new language. At one point, in the dark, she whispered, I haven't brought anyone here before. I turned to face her. Noses almost touching. Why not? Because this place is mine. Not my job. Not my image. Just mine. And now it's ours, I said softly. She didn't respond, but she didn't disagree either. The next morning she cooked. Again. Bacon. Eggs. Coffee so strong it could revive the dead. Do you always cook like this in your secret hideaway? I asked, half teasing. Only when I'm trying to impress someone. I paused, halfway through my bite. So you're trying to impress me? She shrugged, but there was a ghost of a smile on her lips. Maybe. We spent the day walking the woods behind the cabin. She showed me the frozen lake, the hill where she used to sled alone. The little shed she converted into a reading nook, lined with books no one else knew she loved. You read poetry? I asked, picking up a worn copy of Sappho. She looked almost embarrassed. Only when I can't sleep. What keeps you up? You lately, she said, so quietly I almost missed it. I didn't know what to say to that, so I stepped closer. Is that a complaint? No, she said, staring at me. It's the first time I've liked being restless. That night, after dinner, she poured us both a glass of wine and stood by the window, watching the snow begin again. I came up behind her, wrapping my arms around her waist. She didn't flinch. She leaned back into me. I used to think wanting something meant weakness, she said. And now I'm starting to wonder if wanting is what makes us human. I kissed her shoulder. It is. She turned in my arms, wine glass forgotten on the sill. Her eyes were darker now, not with fear, with longing. Stay until the new year, she said, all the way through. I nodded. I was hoping you'd ask. You could say no, she warned. It's not safe. I'm not simple. I'm still figuring this out. And I'm not going anywhere. I whispered. Not unless you push me. Her hand slid up my arms, her gaze searching mine. I don't want to push you. Then pull me closer. And she did. The kiss this time wasn't rushed or hungry. It was deep, certain. A promise, maybe, or a dare. When she led me to the bedroom, she didn't need to ask. We moved like we already knew the way. Her touch was reverent, her mouth patient. She undressed me like she'd done it 100 times in her mind. I let her. I trusted her. Even when her breath caught. Even when her voice broke. Afterward, we lay tangled in the sheets, sweat cooling between us. Her hand in mine. Her thumb brushing gentle circles against my skin. Do you believe in second chances? She asked suddenly. Second, third, fourth. As many as it takes, I said. Why? Because I think I might have already ruined things before they even began. With you. With how I've always been. I turned to face her, letting my fingers trace her jaw. You haven't ruined anything. You're just now starting to write a new chapter. What if I mess it up? Then we rewrite it. Together. She pulled me close again. And for the first time, I felt her let go of something. Not completely, but enough. Enough to know that this wasn't just a cabin. Wasn't just a week of hiding. It was the beginning of something real. Maybe terrifying. Definitely beautiful. And we had time. Time to figure it out. Together. The snow kept falling. Day after day. A soft, endless white that wrapped the cabin in stillness. The rest of the world felt far away, as if it had melted behind us, leaving nothing but us and the quiet. In that space, we built a rhythm. Mornings began with coffee and sleepy kisses. Afternoons were spent walking the trails behind the cabin, our fingers brushing, then locking, then never letting go. Evenings meant wine, music, laughter, soft touches that turned into sighs beneath heavy blankets. But it wasn't perfect. Not really. Not underneath. I could feel something in her, something tight, buried, waiting to surface. She was present, yes. Tender, even. But when I reached too deep, when I looked too long, I saw the tension in her jaw. The way her eyes shifted like she was calculating how much of herself was safe to show. And I didn't push. Not at first. I wanted her to come to me when she was ready. But people like Evelyn Hart didn't know how to be ready. They knew how to hide. It was on the fourth night, while we were sitting in front of the fire, legs tangled, a half-empty bottle of wine between us, that she finally cracked. She had been quiet all day. Not distant. Just off. Her touch lingered longer than usual, her laughter more hollow. When I reached for her hand, she let me hold it, but her fingers were stiff. You're somewhere else, I said. She didn't deny it, just looked into the fire like it might swallow her whole. Do you ever wonder why people become who they are? She asked. All the time. Then tell me, who do you think I am? I think you're someone who's been alone for too long. Someone who built walls so no one could hurt her, but now doesn't know how to tear them down. I think you're brilliant and stubborn and afraid of being seen for who you really are because you've convinced yourself no one would stay. Her throat worked around the silence. Her voice when it came, was small. You're not wrong. I didn't speak. I waited. When I was 9, she said. My mother left. Just didn't come home one day. My father never talked about it. Just shut down. And I learned very quickly that feelings didn't fix anything. That love didn't keep people from disappearing. That if I didn't depend on anyone, I couldn't be disappointed. My heart cracked. Evelyn. So I focused. School. Work. Control. Power. I made myself so sharp no one would ever dare get close enough to cut me. Until I kissed you under the mistletoe, I whispered. Her laugh was bitter and soft. You ruined everything. Good, I said. You needed to be ruined. You don't understand. She pulled her hand away and stood, pacing the room. Her robe fell open slightly, revealing the edge of her collarbone, the soft curve of vulnerability she never let anyone see. I've never let someone in like this. Not fully, not willingly, and it terrifies me. Then let it, I said, standing too. Let it terrify you. Let it shake you, because it means it's real. She turned, eyes bright with something sharp. You think love is enough? I think honesty is. I don't know how to do this. Then we learn together. What if I hurt you? Then we talk. We fight. We figure it out. That's what people do when they care. She shook her head, her arms wrapped around herself. You deserve someone who doesn't come with baggage and bruises. No, I said, stepping close. I deserve someone who doesn't hide behind them. My hand reached for her cheek. She didn't flinch this time. She let me touch her. Let me hold her face like it was something precious. You think I want a perfect version of you? I asked. No, Evelyn. I want this version. The messy one. The real one. The one who's afraid, but still standing in front of me. Her eyes welled, and for a terrifying moment, I thought she'd push me away again. But she didn't. Her hands came up to cover mine, and she whispered, I don't know how to be loved like this. I leaned in, my forehead against hers. Then let me show you, one day at a time. She nodded, the motion barely there. But it was everything. That night when we made love, it wasn't about passion. It was about breaking open. She let me touch her without armor. Let me whisper things into the hollow of her throat she'd never heard from anyone before. I held her while she cried. Silent tears she tried to hide. I kissed them away, not to erase them, but to honor them. And when she finally fell asleep, curled against me like I was the first safe place she'd ever known, I stayed awake for a long time, memorizing everything. Her breathing, her scent, the way her hand clutched mine in sleep. I didn't know what would happen after the new year, but I knew one thing for certain. This woman, this complicated, brilliant, broken woman, had opened a door that could never be closed again. And I had walked through it, willingly, without a map, but with my whole heart. Steam curled up from the surface of the bath, like a secret rising between us. The air was thick with the scent of lavender and cedarwood, and the only sounds were the quiet crackle of the fire in the next room and the soft ripple of water against skin. Evelyn sat behind me, her arms wrapped around my waist, her chin resting lightly on my shoulder. The tub was deep, old-fashioned, claw-footed, a little bit of luxury hidden in the heart of the cabin. I don't know what made her suggest it. Maybe the chill in the air. Maybe the ache in our muscles after another long day of walking through the woods and getting lost in one another. Or maybe, just maybe, she wanted to feel me. All of me without barriers. This was a good idea, I murmured, sinking back against her. Her skin was warm. Her body fit against mine like we were carved to be this close. I have them sometimes, she said dryly, her lips brushing the curve of my neck. Don't get used to it. I smiled. Too late. Her hands slid under the water, one resting on my stomach, the other tracing the inside of my thigh. Not touching where I wanted her. Just teasing. Testing. Letting the silence build tension between us like silk stretched to its limit. You're quiet, I said. Thinking, she murmured. Dangerous. Always. I turned slightly in her arms, so I could see her face. Her eyes were darker in the soft light, her features relaxed in a way they rarely were. Vulnerable. Open. "What are you thinking about?" I asked. She looked at me for a long time, her gaze moving from my eyes to my mouth, then back again. About how I didn't know it could feel like this. Like what? Like wanting you doesn't make me weak. It makes me feel alive. I reached up, brushing a damp strand of hair from her cheek. "You are alive, Evelyn. You just forgot how to feel it." "And you," she said, her voice low, "you remind me every second." Her fingers slid higher between my legs, slow and deliberate, until my breath hitched. My eyes fluttered shut. "Look at me," she whispered. I did. She held my gaze as her fingers found me under the water, circling, pressing, claiming. It wasn't fast. It wasn't frantic. It was control surrendered, power exchanged through a touch so tender I could barely breathe through it. Her other hand came up to cut my breast, her thumb brushing over my nipple, and I felt my body arch into her without thought. "Tell me what you want," she said. "You. You have me." And God, I did. All of her. I came with her mouth on my neck, her breath hot in my ear, her arms anchoring me like I was something precious, something not meant to be lost. She didn't let go. Even after. Especially after. I turned in her arms, straddling her now, facing her, chest to chest, heartbeat to heartbeat. "Now you," I whispered. Her hands found my hips, her expression unreadable. "You don't have to. I want to," I said. "Let me." She hesitated, just for a second, and then she nodded. I kissed her slowly, deeply. My hands moved over her like I was learning her by memory. The soft dip of her waist, the sharp lines of her collarbone, the strength in her thighs. When I slid my fingers into her, her head fell back against the edge of the tub and her mouth parted in a quiet gasp that I felt all the way down my spine. She tried to stay quiet. Of course she did. Always in control, even here. But I didn't let her. I whispered her name. I told her how beautiful she looked like this, undone, raw, real. I kissed every sound from her lips until her body tensed, and she cried out softly against my shoulder, clutching me like she might fall apart if I moved. "You don't have to hold yourself together with me," I whispered. "Not here. Not now." She didn't respond, but when I pulled her into me and wrapped my arms around her in the cooling water, she let out a breath like she'd been holding it for years. And she stayed there, her head on my chest, our fingers tangled above the waterline. "You make me want things I never let myself want," she said after a long silence. "Then want them," I said. "Want me." "I do." The words were so quiet I barely heard them, but I felt them. In the way her arms tightened, in the way her lips brushed against my collarbone like a promise. We stayed in the tub until the water turned lukewarm and our skin wrinkled. I dried her off with a towel, my hands reverent, slow, careful. She let me. She touched my face afterward like I was something rare. "No one's ever taken care of me like this," she said. "You never let them." Her eyes softened. "But I'm letting you." Later, wrapped in blankets by the fire, her head in my lap, her hand resting on my thigh, Evelyn's phone buzzed on the table. She didn't move. "You're not going to check it?" I asked. "No," but the screen lit up again. A name. A company contact. Another buzz. She closed her eyes like it hurt. I reached for it, handed it to her. "If it's important," she stared at the screen. The moment stretched. Then she sighed and answered. "Yes." Her voice was colder now, clipped. A different version of her, the Evelyn I had known before all this. I could only hear one side of the conversation. Something about a client crisis. Something about her needing to return sooner than expected. I watched her jaw clench. "No," she said. "I can't. I'm not in the city." Another pause. "It's personal." Another pause. I said no. She hung up and set the phone face down on the table. Her shoulders were tight again, her walls rising. I touched her hand. "Everything okay?" "They want me back early. Tomorrow." "Are you going?" A long silence. I don't want to, but I've never said no to them before. Maybe it's time you do. She looked at me, really looked. Would you stay? If I asked. Yes, I said without hesitation. Then I'm not going. And just like that, I knew we weren't just living a snow globe fantasy anymore. We were making choices. Real ones. Ones that would follow us out of this cabin and into whatever came next. The morning after she said no, the world outside the cabin was covered in frost so thick it looked like glass had grown over the trees. Inside, something had changed. Not in a loud way. Not in a way you could point to and say, this is different now. But in the subtle shift of her gaze, in the way she reached for my hand without hesitation, in the way she stayed close without needing an excuse. Evelyn Hart had made a choice, and I could feel its weight in every glance, every breath. You didn't have to do that, I said as she stirred the fire back to life. Say no. She didn't look at me, just adjusted the logs, watching the flames catch. Yes, I did. But it might cost you something. It already cost me too much to never say no. I crossed the room and knelt beside her. Her fingers were still slightly blackened from the wood, her robe slipping off one shoulder. I brushed the soot from her skin. I'm proud of you. She looked at me then. That shouldn't mean so much, but it does. I leaned in and kissed her. Soft, reassuring. You're not alone anymore, Evelyn. That changes how things weigh on you. I don't know how to be with someone, she whispered. Yes, you do, I said. You're doing it right now. We spent the rest of the day in a quiet kind of closeness. Not intense like before. Not urgent. Just real. She read a book by the fire. I made soup in the kitchen. We moved around each other like we'd been doing it for years, not days. There were no grand gestures. Just small, quiet moments. Her hand brushing mine as she passed me a mug. Her lips on my shoulder when I walked past. Her smile rare, but so real it made my heart feel too big for my chest. That night, we lay in bed beneath thick quilts, the fire still flickering in the hearth, our bodies tangled together. I felt her fingertips tracing lines across my back. Tell me something no one knows, I said. What? Anything. Something that's only yours. She went silent. I waited. I felt her breathing change. Slower. Heavier. I used to talk to my mom, she said finally, after she left. Yeah, I'd sit by the window and pretend she was just away. That she'd come back. I'd tell her about school. About how Dad wouldn't talk. About how quiet the house got. I did it for years. I turned to face her. Her eyes were glassy, but dry. You were a kid, I whispered. You needed someone. And when she didn't come back, I told myself I didn't need anyone. That needing people was weakness. I never broke that rule. Not until now. And do you regret breaking it? No, she said. But I'm scared. Of me. Of what you make me want. What do I make you want? A life I never thought I could have. Her voice cracked. I pulled her into my arms. She buried her face in my neck, and for a long time, we just stayed like that. Quiet. Holding each other like we could keep the past from clawing its way back in. You don't have to know how to be perfect at this, I whispered. You just have to be honest. She pulled back, eyes searching mine. Then I have to tell you something. Okay. When I was 26, I got engaged. I blinked. Oh, to a man. We were together for 3 years. He was safe, predictable. My parents approved. My coworkers approved, but I didn't love him. I didn't even really like him. Why did you say yes? Because I thought I was supposed to. Because I thought if I built the right life, maybe the cracks inside me would stay hidden. I left him 2 weeks before the wedding. Good, I said gently. And then what? Then I buried every part of myself that didn't fit the narrative, including the part that wanted women. My heart ached. You've been carrying that alone? She nodded. Until you kissed me under the mistletoe. I reached for her hand. I'm not going anywhere. Even if I screw this up? Especially if you screw this up. A tear finally slipped down her cheek. I kissed it away. She pulled me close and whispered against my skin, "I think I'm falling in love with you." My breath caught. I felt the words land in the center of me, like a match in dry grass. I pulled back just enough to look into her eyes. "You're not alone in that." Her lips parted. "Madison, say it," I said. "If it's true, say it." "I love you," she whispered. "I don't know what to do with it yet, but I do." I smiled. "You don't have to do anything with it. Just let it exist." We kissed again, not because we needed to, but because we wanted to, because we had something to say that couldn't be said any other way. And for the first time, Evelyn didn't pull back. She leaned in. She stayed. The days blurred into a kind of magic I didn't dare name. After the night she said it, "I think I'm falling in love with you," everything felt different. Not louder, not heavier, just deeper, more rooted, like we'd both stopped holding our breath and finally let ourselves sink. Evelyn didn't say the words again. Not right away, but she didn't need to. It was in everything she did, in the way she'd reach for my hand without thinking, the way her lips found mine in the middle of a sentence, the way she'd wrap herself around me at night, like I was the only thing tethering her to the earth. I caught her looking at me sometimes, not with hunger, but with awe, like she still didn't understand how this had happened, or why it hadn't happened sooner. I felt it too, that strange ache of something too good to be true, and the fear of what waited for us outside the snow-covered world we'd created. "We have 2 days left," I said one morning as we made breakfast in our pajamas. She didn't look up from the pan. "Don't say it like that." "Like what?" "Like it's ending." I walked over to her, wrapping my arms around her waist from behind. "It's not ending, but it's changing." She exhaled. "I know. Have you thought about what happens when we go back? Every hour. And I don't want to go back to being who I was before this." I turned her gently, so she faced me. "Then don't. It's not that simple, Madison. The city, the company, my reputation, people see me a certain way. If I change too much, they'll question everything. Let them." "You don't understand." "No," I said, cutting her off gently. "You don't understand. Evelyn, I fell for the version of you that no one else gets to see. And if you bury her again just to keep playing a role, you'll lose something you'll never get back." She was silent. Her eyes searched mine. I saw the panic behind them, the fight between who she had been and who she might become. What if I'm not strong enough to be both? Then let me be strong with you. That day, we didn't go outside. We stayed curled on the couch, talking about everything and nothing. She told me about her favorite childhood book. I told her about the time I got caught sneaking into a movie theater at 16. We laughed. We kissed. We memorized each other all over again. And that night, while we lay in bed, she whispered, "I've never brought anyone into my life like this. It's terrifying, isn't it?" "Yes." "But worth it." "God, yes." I held her hand under the covers. "Then let's figure out how to do this. The real world version, not just the snow globe version." She nodded slowly. "There's something I want to ask you." My heart skipped. "Okay, don't panic." "You're telling me not to panic?" "I mean it." She sat up, her face more serious now, but not guarded, just raw. "There's a villa in Tuscany. A client offered it to me for the month of January. I turned it down originally, but they said I could still take it." "Okay, come with me." I blinked. "What?" "Come. With me. Just us. 1 month. No deadlines. No pressure. We could exist. Be us. And see what this really is outside of the snow and the silence." My chest tightened. "You want me to leave the city?" "Not forever. Just come away with me. Let's give this space. Without expectations. Without your apartment or my office looming over us." "That's..." I sat up too, eyes wide. "That's huge." "So, is what I feel for you." I stared at her. Evelyn Hart, Ice Queen, powerhouse, untouchable executive, was asking me to disappear with her. Not to hide, but to live. Fully. "You're serious," I said. "Dead serious." And if I say yes, then we leave the day after New Year's. And if I say no, her voice cracked. Then I'll understand. But I'll miss you. Every second. I touched her face, heart pounding. Evelyn, I don't want this to be temporary. Neither do I. That's why I'm asking. Let's go somewhere new. Together. I exhaled. Okay. Her eyes widened. Okay. Okay, I'll come with you. She smiled, really smiled, and it undid me completely. She kissed me then. Hard. Grateful. Full of the kind of promise that didn't need words. And in that moment, I realized something terrifying and beautiful. We weren't just surviving anymore. We were choosing, building, and for the first time in her life, Evelyn Hart wasn't walking away from something that scared her. She was walking toward it, toward me. Coming back to the city was like waking up from the softest dream into the harshest morning. Everything was louder, faster, sharper. The buildings towered again. The streets buzzed with people and demands. But her hand never left mine. Not when we stepped out of the car. Not when we climbed the stairs to her apartment. Not when we sat in silence, suddenly aware that the real world had returned and was watching. Evelyn became quieter, more guarded. I saw it in the way she stood a little straighter, the way her voice took on that clipped edge again when she made phone calls. But every time I looked at her, she softened. She smiled. She reached for me like I was the only anchor she had. We leave in 2 days, she said that night, sitting cross-legged on her bed, laptop open, booking flights. Florence Airport, then a car to the villa. It's remote, peaceful, perfect. I leaned over to see the photos. Stone walls, olive trees, sunlight spilling through terracotta roofs. It didn't feel real. It's beautiful, I said. You're beautiful, she replied, almost distractedly, like it was just a fact, not a compliment. My chest tightened. I kissed her shoulder. I can't believe we're really doing this. We are, she said. No turning back. We spent the next day packing, buying last-minute things, dreaming aloud. What books we'd bring, what food we'd cook, what mornings would feel like without alarms or deadlines. I want to wake up with you every day, she said, standing in the middle of her living room with her suitcase half-zipped. Even when we're old, even when your hair turns silver and you stop putting sugar in your coffee. I turned, stunned by the casual eternity in her voice. You're really saying things like that now? She shrugged, a small smile on her lips. You started it. That night, we curled up on her couch with wine and blankets, watching the snow fall again through the windows. A different kind of snow. Less magical. More real. But she held me like she wasn't afraid of the cold anymore. We're not just escaping, I whispered. I know, she said. We're beginning. But beginnings are fragile. And nothing stays untouched forever. It happened the next morning, 6 hours before our flight. Evelyn was in the shower when her phone rang. I saw the name. I didn't recognize it, but the ringtone was different, sharper. Urgent. I knocked gently on the bathroom door. You've got a call. It won't stop. Take a message, she called back. It's from Harrison Bain. Silence. Then the water stopped. She stepped out moments later, towel around her, hair dripping, eyes already narrowing. Put it on speaker, she said. I did. And the voice that came through was brisk, formal, and unmistakably serious. Evelyn, I hate doing this, but we need you. The launch is unraveling. The client's threatening to pull. You're the only one who can fix this. I'm unavailable, she said, tightening her towel. I told everyone I was off until February. That was before we were about to lose a multi-million-dollar campaign. If we lose them, we lose half the quarter. There are other people. Not like you. Evelyn, we need you. Tonight. The call ended with a clipped apology, and silence fell like a thunderclap. Evelyn didn't move. She stared at the phone like it had betrayed her. You don't have to do this, I said gently. We can go. We can leave tonight. Her jaw clenched. Madison, don't say it. If I don't go, people lose their jobs. And I've worked so hard to get where I am. I can't just disappear now. You're not disappearing. You're choosing yourself. I'm choosing us. That's what this trip was supposed to be. So choose us, I said. But I saw it. The panic, the pain, the unbearable pressure of everything crashing in at once. She sat down, towel still clinging to her, elbows on her knees, her head in her hands. I don't want to lose you, she said. My chest cracked. You won't. But if I go, then we'll find another way. She looked up at me, eyes red. I wanted to give you the sun, and now I'm handing you a shadow. I knelt in front of her. You're giving me your truth. That's more valuable than any trip. You're not angry? Of course I'm angry, I said, voice thick. But not at you. At the world. At timing. At the fact that we almost had a perfect start. Almost, she echoed. This isn't the end, I said. It's a pause. We'll get there. Not today, but someday. You still want me? More than ever. She pulled me into her arms then. Wet hair, towel, and all. We sat on the floor of her penthouse bathroom, clinging to each other like the storm was inside now. And maybe it was. But she didn't push me away. She didn't retreat. I'll book another trip, she whispered. I'll find another moment. I swear. Just promise me one thing. Anything. Don't shut down again. Don't let this pull you back into the woman I first met. The one who lived behind her title. Her grip tightened. I won't. Not if you're still here when I come back. I'll be here, I said. I'm not going anywhere. And just like that, something shifted again. Because love wasn't proven in Tuscany, or cabins, or snowy mornings. Love was proven in the moments we chose to stay, even when the dream fell apart. And Evelyn Hart? She had chosen me. Even if the world demanded her attention again, she left part of herself with me. Not a fantasy, but something real. The first morning without her felt like a room missing all its windows. Lightless. Still. I woke up in her bed, alone, the scent of her still on the pillow beside me, and for a long time, I just stared at the ceiling, wondering how absence could be so loud. Evelyn had left hours earlier, well before dawn, her driver taking her to the office where fires waited to be put out, reputations salvaged, millions preserved. She'd kiss me goodbye softly, slowly, the kind of kiss that wasn't rushed but still tasted like urgency. I'll call you, she'd whispered, forehead against mine. And when this is over, I'm coming back to you. I believed her. Every word. But believing didn't make the ache easier. I spent most of the day trying not to text her. I failed by noon. Miss you already, I wrote. The reply came 20 minutes later. You have no idea. The next few days passed in a blur. We didn't see each other. Not once. Her workdays stretched into nights, and even when we talked, her voice was thick with exhaustion. Still, she always answered, even if it was 11 p.m. Even if it was just to say, I'm sorry I can't talk long, but I needed to hear your voice. One night, I left her a voicemail when she didn't pick up. I didn't plan it. I just missed her. Hey, I said, lying in bed with the city, buzzing outside my window. I know you're probably neck deep in clients and chaos, but I just wanted to tell you something. This thing between us, it's not a bubble. It's not a fantasy. It's real. And I'm here, not waiting, just holding space. For you. For us. Don't rush. Just come back when you're ready. I didn't expect a reply, but the next morning, I woke to a message. That was the first thing that's made me breathe in days. I listened to it 5 times. You make me believe in things I thought I buried. It wasn't easy. I missed her hands, her voice, the way she'd smirk when I teased her and try not to smile. But I also started to realize something. She was showing up, even when she couldn't be here. That meant more than any escape. The distance was real, but so was the commitment. One night, for days after she'd returned to work, I got home to find a note on my door. Not a message, a letter. My name in her handwriting. Inside, there were only a few lines. I booked us a weekend. Just us. Don't ask where. Pack light. Warm clothes. I'll pick you up Friday at 6. You said this wasn't the end. So I'm making sure it's just the beginning. I stared at the paper like it might burn in my hands. My heart was a mess of adrenaline and affection. I texted her, "You sure about this?" She replied instantly, "Yes. For once, I'm sure." The next few days crawled by. We talked late into the nights, sometimes about nothing, sometimes about everything. She told me things she'd never said aloud, like how she used to write poetry as a teenager, but never shared it. I told her how I always felt like I was too much for people, too emotional, too open, too honest, and how with her, I finally felt just right. We didn't need to see each other to grow closer. We were doing it in the spaces between the days, in the words, in the silences, in the trust. And then Friday came. I was standing by the window at 5:59 p.m., already in my coat, bag packed, butterflies rioting in my stomach. At 6:01, I saw her car pull up. She stepped out before the driver could open the door, dressed in black as always, but with something different in her eyes. Lighter, softer, mine. I ran down the stairs before I could think twice. The second I saw her, I didn't hesitate. I threw my arms around her, and she caught me with a laugh that felt like the first real breath she'd taken all week. "Hi," she whispered against my neck. "Hi," I whispered back. "God, I missed you." "I miss this," she said, cupping my face. "Your skin, your eyes, your voice. It was hell not being near you." "Then don't stay away again," I said. "Not unless you absolutely have to." "I'm learning," she said, "how to choose this, how to choose us." In the car, she held my hand like it was the only thing tethering her to the earth again. "Where are we going?" I asked. She smiled. "You'll see." "Give me a clue." "Fine. There's a fireplace. And no cell service. A cabin. Not mine. Not the first one. This one's new. For us. A reset. A continuation," she said. "But this time not running away. Just running toward." The car slipped into the night. The city lights faded behind us. Her hand never let go of mine. And for the first time since she left that bathroom wrapped in a towel and obligation, I saw it clearly in her eyes. This wasn't a maybe anymore. It was a promise. We were doing this. Together. Even in the middle of the chaos. Especially then. The new cabin was smaller than the first, but warmer somehow. Not just in temperature. In intention. Everything about it felt like it had been chosen, not just booked. The deep green throws on the couch. The soft amber lighting. The bottle of red wine already breathing on the kitchen counter. "You planned this," I said as Evelyn dropped our bags near the doorway. "Every detail." "I wanted it to feel like it was ours," she said, pulling off her coat. "Not mine. Not a borrowed fantasy. Something we created." I walked over to the fireplace, already lit, flames flickering like a heartbeat in the corner of the room. "It does." She stepped behind me, arms around my waist. "I needed to see you outside of the noise. Without the phone ringing. Without people knocking. Just you. Just me." "You have me," I whispered. "You always did." She held me there for a long time. No rush. No pressure. Just skin on skin, breath on breath. That night, we lay wrapped in blankets, the scent of wood smoke clinging to our hair, the sound of the wind tapping softly against the windows. Evelyn was on her back, one arm behind her head, the other holding my hand against her chest. "Tell me where you see yourself in 5 years," she said. I laughed. "Seriously? Humor me." I bit my lip. "I don't know. Hopefully not stuck in an office cubicle. Hopefully not alone." She squeezed my hand. "Try again. Be honest." I turned my face toward her. "Okay. I see myself waking up next to someone who makes me feel like this isn't just survival. Someone who reminds me I'm allowed to want more. I see a small place, plants I forget to water, a window with morning light, maybe even someone to cook breakfast for." Her voice was quieter now. "Do I get to be in that version?" "I want you in every version," I said. She turned then, facing me completely. Her fingers brushed my cheek. "I don't know what love is supposed to look like, but when I picture a future now, you're in it. That has to mean something." It means everything. I want to build something with you, she said, the words careful, deliberate. Not just weekends and getaways. I want the boring parts too. The tired nights, the laundry days, the small fights and making up. I want all of it. With you. I didn't answer. I kissed her. Hard. Desperate. Overwhelmed by how this woman, once untouchable, once cold as steel, was offering me everything she didn't even know she had to give. We made love on the rug in front of the fireplace, slow and quiet, like we were writing vows with our bodies. No urgency. Just presence. Just us. And when we collapsed together, breathless and tangled, I whispered, I want all of it too. Every bit. Even the hard days. She smiled into my neck. Then we're already winning. The next morning, while she made coffee, I stood on the porch in one of her sweaters, watching the sun rise over the trees. It felt like breathing for the first time. I didn't hear the phone ring. I didn't even know she'd answered it. But when I came back inside, something had shifted. Evelyn stood in the kitchen, her body still, her eyes wide, her hand still holding the phone long after the call had ended. What is it? I asked, walking to her. She looked at me, swallowed hard. It was my father. I blinked. What? I haven't spoken to him in 3 years. Not since I got promoted. He never approved of my choices. Always said I was chasing the wrong kind of power. But he's in the hospital. Something with his heart. Is he okay? They don't know. He wants to see me. I reached for her hand. And how do you feel? She looked at me with eyes full of something I'd never seen in her before. Guilt. Fear. Conflict. I don't know. Part of me wants to run. The other part wants to go, even if it's just to prove I survived without him. Evelyn. He was never cruel. Just cold. I spent my entire life trying to get his approval, and when I stopped caring, I stopped calling. And now, I pulled her close. You don't have to decide anything right now. But whatever you choose, I'll be right here. You're not going through this alone. She buried her face in my neck. Why are you always exactly what I need? Because I love you. Even when I'm a mess? Especially then. She held me tighter. We spent the rest of the day quiet. Not sad, just thoughtful. The conversations turned softer. The touches slower. That night, over a simple dinner, she reached for my hand and said, Would you come with me? To see him? I don't know if I'll even walk into the room, but I don't want to do it alone. I nodded. Of course I'll go with you. She looked like she might cry, but instead, she kissed my hand. We're building something, she said, and I don't want fear to take it away from us. It won't, I promised. We've already come too far. And in her eyes, I saw it again. That flicker of the woman who never thought she'd be loved like this, and now was willing to fight to keep it. The hospital smelled like antiseptic and endings. We walked through the sliding glass doors just after 8 a.m., the air cold and brittle around us. Evelyn's hand in mine was warm, but tense. She hadn't said much during the drive, just held my hand, eyes fixed on the window like she was bracing herself for something she wasn't sure she could survive. Her father's name was listed on the whiteboard at the front desk. Room 406, 4th floor, cardiac wing. We rode the elevator in silence. When the doors opened, she took a step forward, then stopped. You don't have to go in, I said gently. You don't owe him anything. She looked at me, her voice barely above a whisper. That's not true. I owe him everything I became and everything I buried. I didn't try to convince her otherwise. I just nodded and followed. The hallway was quiet. Soft beeping, murmured voices behind curtains, the mechanical hum of things trying to keep people alive. She stopped at his door, breathed, then knocked softly and opened it. He was awake, sitting up in bed, worn, pale, but alert. He looked at her like someone seeing a ghost he hadn't asked for. Evelyn, he said, voice rough. So it's true. Hi, Dad. I stood just behind her, not entering. She stepped inside. You look old, he said with a huff. I am. You called. I wasn't sure you'd come. I wasn't either. He nodded, looked past her. And she is? Evelyn turned slightly. This is Madison. She's important to me. He gave a single, unreadable nod. You never did bring anyone home. Evelyn didn't respond. She stood by the foot of the bed, arms crossed like she was trying to hold herself together with bone and willpower. Why now? She asked. Why call? Because I'm dying, he said, as if it were the most obvious thing in the world. Because people get sentimental when their heart fails. You've had years. I know. You never reached out. You never made it easy. Evelyn flinched, just slightly. I spent half my life trying to earn your approval. I gave it, he said, in my way. No, she said. You gave silence. You gave disappointment. You gave me standards I could never meet, even when I surpassed them. You're successful, he said. You've built an empire. I see your name in magazines. Your company's worth millions. You did well. You never said that when I was building it. I didn't think I had to. Her voice broke then, just a crack. I didn't want your applause. I wanted your presence. He blinked. For the first time, something like guilt flickered in his eyes. You were always strong, he said. Didn't think you needed me. I did, she whispered. And when I stopped needing you, I stopped knowing how to need anyone. He looked at her, and for a second, I thought he might say the words she'd waited her whole life to hear. I'm sorry, but he didn't. You turned out fine, he said. Better than fine. Evelyn's jaw clenched. I stepped forward, gently touching her back. She didn't look at me. Goodbye, Dad, she said. I hope you find peace with whatever time you have left. He didn't answer. She turned. We walked out. The door closed softly behind us. She didn't cry. Not right away. Not until we reached the elevator. And the moment the doors closed, her whole body crumpled. I caught her before she hit the wall. She folded into me like a wave breaking. He couldn't even say it, she choked. He couldn't say he was sorry. He doesn't know how, I whispered. But you do. And you're not him. We stood there for minutes, her body trembling against mine. I thought maybe if he saw me, he'd realize what he missed. He saw you, I said. He just doesn't know how to hold what you've become. I needed him to say he was proud. Then I'll say it for him. I'm proud of you. For surviving him. For thriving anyway. For walking into that room when you didn't have to. For walking out of it. Knowing your worth. She looked at me then, tears on her cheeks. How do you do that? What? Make everything hurt less just by saying it? It's not magic, I said. It's love. We didn't go home right away. We walked the city for hours, hands clasped, shoulders touching. She was quiet, but not distant. Just full. Processing. Unloading. That night, back in her apartment, she stood by the window, staring out over the lights. I've spent my whole life proving things to people who weren't watching, she said. I'm tired of that. I want to start proving things to someone who actually sees me. I walked to her. You don't have to prove anything to me. I know, she said. But I want to build a life with you. One where I choose to show up. Not because I'm trying to earn love, but because I have it. I kissed her then. Slow. Deep. Full of everything we'd both just survived. And when we pulled apart, she whispered, I don't want an empire if it means building it alone. Then let's build something new, I said. Together. Will you move in? She asked. No hesitation. No stutter. Just the question I didn't know I needed to hear. Yes, I breathed. Yes, Evelyn. I will. And just like that, something cracked open. Not pain. Not fear. But light. The kind that doesn't come from fire or sun. The kind that comes from letting someone in and knowing they'll stay. The first morning we woke up in the same apartment felt different than all the others. It wasn't borrowed time anymore. It wasn't a cabin in the woods, or a weekend escape, or a moment stolen between emergencies. It was ours. Our coffee mugs sat side by side in the kitchen sink. Our jackets hung together by the door. Her book was on the couch, my sweater on the armrest, her glasses on the nightstand next to mine. A life was forming, slowly, deliberately, beautifully. She was brushing her teeth when I walked in, still wearing her t-shirt, my hair a mess. She glanced at me in the mirror, foam in her mouth, and raised an eyebrow. "That shirt looks better on you," she mumbled through the toothpaste. "I know," I said, and she rolled her eyes. But she smiled, and I really knew this was home. The transition hadn't been perfect. We bickered over closet space. She reorganized my spice rack alphabetically. I left my shoes by the door, and it drove her insane. But then there were the quiet evenings, reading side by side, her head on my lap while I ran my fingers through her hair. Sunday mornings with pancakes, Thursday nights with wine, and the way she would look at me, like I had made her world shift on its axis, and she was still grateful for the dizziness. We celebrated New Year's curled up on the balcony, wrapped in blankets, a bottle of champagne between us, fireworks reflecting off the glass. "To us," I said, raising my glass. She clinked hers gently. "To second chances I never believed in until you." The first week of January passed in soft rhythm, and somewhere around the 10th, I realized I couldn't wait any longer. I didn't need a perfect setup. I didn't need to wait for some future where everything was calmer or more ideal. Because this was it. She was it. And if there was one thing I had learned, it was that you don't wait to ask for forever when forever is already sleeping next to you every night. I started planning. Quietly. She didn't notice. Too absorbed in meetings, projects, her usual dance with corporate chaos. But every night, she came home to me, and I waited for the moment that felt right. It came on a Thursday, mid-January, cold, clear sky. The city lit up like it knew something was coming. She came home late, exhausted. I had cooked. Candles. Music. Nothing dramatic, just enough to soften the edges of the day. "What's all this?" she asked, removing her coat. "You look like you're about to ask me to donate to a cause." "I am," I said, walking toward her. "The cause is us, and I need your full commitment." She raised an eyebrow. "You already have it." "Not officially." She froze. Her eyes scanned my face. "Madison, sit," I said, pulling out her chair. She did, cautiously. Her hands rested on the table, fingers twitching slightly, a sign I'd come to learn meant she was feeling too much at once. I knelt beside her, reached into my pocket, and pulled out a small, dark blue box. Her breath caught. "I didn't plan a speech," I admitted. "You're lucky, because if I had, I'd probably cry halfway through it." "Madison," she whispered again, but her voice broke. "You once told me you didn't know how to be loved like this," I said, "but you've let me love you. Fiercely, patiently, fully, and in return, you've taught me what it means to be seen, to be held by someone who never lets go, even when everything around us is chaos. You've shown me that strength isn't about control, it's about trust. And you've given me yours. So now I'm giving you mine." I opened the box. A simple ring. Elegant. No glitter. Just intention. Just her. "Marry me, Evelyn Hart." I whispered. "Not someday. Not in the abstract. Here. Now. Let's build a life on purpose." Her eyes were full of tears, but she didn't look away. She didn't hesitate. She reached for me, pulled me to my feet, kissed me so deeply I forgot where we were. And when we broke apart, she said the words I'd been dying to hear. "Yes. God, yes. Always yes. Always you." We didn't eat that night. We didn't need to. We danced in the kitchen instead, barefoot, crying, laughing, her forehead against mine, her hands shaking slightly on my waist. "I never thought I'd have this," she whispered. "You don't have it," I said. "You chose it. You made it." "I want to tell the world." "We will," I said. "But for now, just us." And in the quiet of that apartment, under the city lights, our future began. No more mistletoe dares. No more borrowed days. Just love, deliberate, chosen, and forever.